Today's Monday Mindset Call is entitled Confidence is Currency. Yes, confidence is currency. Why are we looking at confidence? Well, the reason why we're looking at confidence is I believe that confidence is half the battle to anything that you want in life. What does the word confidence actually mean? I wonder if anybody knows what the word confidence means. I'm going to read what it says in the dictionary. The word confidence, all right? Confidence. And you can put your descriptions in the chat box, all right? Confidence. I see boldness. I love that. What is confidence? What does the word confidence actually mean? Fearless, showing up. Love those. Courage, one of my favorite words. Courage, right? The feeling or belief that one can have faith in or rely on someone or something. The feeling or belief that one can have faith in or rely on someone or something. Belief, the word belief is in there. The word faith is in there. So confidence, we could even say that one cannot be confident in themselves if they don't have faith and belief. Oh, the feeling, that means that confidence is a feeling. How do you feel right now? How many times do you tell yourself, I don't feel good enough? I don't feel I can do this. I don't feel up to it. I don't feel myself. How many times do you put I feel or I don't feel in before a sentence, before you say something? That is an expression of your confidence or even your lack of confidence. So confidence is currency. Because if you have faith and belief in anything that you're doing, guess what? It's going to unlock doors for you. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you 7 tips today on what we really have to do. And this may go a little bit deep in order to unlock the confidence that will unlock your currency. Now, the first one is usually the hardest one, which is understanding your trauma. Nikki, you're going there today on this Monday. It is Action Overflow Month. And in order for us to really have an overflow, we really got to make sure that there's nothing inside our cup that could block or stop us from having that overflow. I got to recognize my trauma and most importantly, recognize the impact that trauma has had on my self-confidence. But Nikki, you know, I was once with a guy and he told me I was ugly. I was never good enough. I was once with a guy who said I was too short. I was too fat. I was too tall. I was once with a guy who told me I couldn't cook. Everything I did was bad. I was once with a guy who said that I was never good enough. My parents always told me I was never good enough. I had a traumatic situation. I was once attacked, abused, raped, hurt. There's so much going on why I lack trust in people. This trauma has formed the way I make decisions going forward. This trauma has formed the way I look at myself. This trauma has formed the way that I behave. But in order to have self-confidence, I have to trust and believe. What am I trusting and believing? Am I trusting and believing my past? Or am I trusting and believing my future, which is the word of God? What he says for me, that he has plans for my life to prosper me. What do I believe? You see, I get to choose what I believe. I get to choose what I believe about my future. I get to choose if my future is going to be bright or if my future is going to be the same as what it is, or if my future is going to be worse. Either way, depending on whichever way I choose, it's still something that I cannot see yet. And so when I open my mouth and say to people what I choose to believe, they say, well, Nikki, that's a bit far-fetched. Nikki, that sounds like such a big goal. And I say that my imagination is free. I say that I choose to live in my imagination. I say I choose to focus on the future that I desire as opposed to the one that I don't. Most people speak about the things that they don't want. Most people talk about the things that they don't like. Most people talk about all the things that's going wrong in their life. Why? Based on what they've been through. Come on now, we've all had a situation where we've said things like, oh, this has happened to me before. If you ever start a conversation with, this is what happened to me before, you know exactly what it is that you're doing, right? You're living in your past trauma. You're living in past pain, living in past hurt. Oh, I don't want to do that again because I did that before. I attempted to start a business, but it didn't work. I attempted in a relationship and that was good. Have you ever said never again? You know, my sister, bless her, you know, she's gone through a breakup, found out some really bad news from her partner. And she says, never again am I dating a Jamaican. In fact, I'm going to a white guy, right? She said, never again, I'm going white, Nick. And she, listen, I haven't said too much because this is recorded, but my sister is having fun right now. She is single, ready to mingle. And I'm like, girl, because the past trauma has changed her behavior. Oh, have you ever given people money or helped them and they were ungrateful and then you turn around and say, never again? Ever borrowed somebody money and they didn't pay it back, and so somebody else, you say, never again. Someone borrowed your car, they mash it up, so you say, never again. Based on our existing or previous circumstances, we form ideas and new philosophies on how we live our life. Now, my question to you is, can you balance what is past trauma impacting your decision-making, or whether you are having actual boundaries? Because it doesn't mean that if you've done it before, you should do it again. There are things that you can set up in place to have boundaries. So rather than saying never again, here's what I say. Never again will I ignore red flags. You see, I ignored the red flags. Sometimes we want to force people to be who they are not. We want to believe in the wrong things. We don't believe in our boundaries. We don't believe in our standards, but we're believing for them to change. Come on now. We're believing for them to change behavior. Let me tell you this. If somebody has done something once, twice, 3 times, the likelihood is their behavior will be more of the same. Now it's down to you. I've heard people say, you know, I'm praying they change. I'm praying they do this, and I'm praying. How many of you have been in a workplace where their processes and their policies have been the same for years? Some of them, you know, they don't make sense. And you're there saying, you know, this isn't right. I pray that it changes. But somewhere up there, they're saying, no, it's staying the same. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. You either have to accept what it is that is going on, or you move on. But here's the worst thing that we do. We say we've moved on, but we carry the baggage. We bring the baggage into our new situations. And then, especially ladies on the call, you expect the man to understand. And you start bringing your old stuff into a new relationship. You start expecting that man now to start, you know, you're like, well, you know, why are you doing that? My ex, and you start having conversation about what he did to you. And then what do? We get triggered. You know, I remember when I met my husband for the first time and he opened the door for me. I remember when, actually, before even he opened the door, he was calling me, you know, he was like, my name is Mr. Anton Sutherland, and he was introducing himself very nicely. And I was like to my friend, is he gay? What's wrong with this guy? He's too nice. You see, some of you don't even recognize nice when it comes because you're so used to being battered. You're so used to being abused. You're so used to being spoken to badly that when something nice comes your way, you almost block your own blessing. Sometimes we are the weapon that forms against us, which is why we're not prospering to the way that God would want us to prosper. We damage our own relationships. People want to be friends with us, and we're so skeptic. We self-sabotage. We then begin to act in a way that is a defense mechanism. I'm not going to get too close because they always hurt me in the end. And I challenge you today. I challenge you to ask yourself, are your decisions based on a place of faith, belief, or fear? Because in order to have true confidence in yourself, you must be able to have faith and belief. Now, you can have faith that everyone's going to mess with you. You can have faith that everyone is evil. You can have faith that everyone is against you. Or you can have faith and belief and know that God is going to put the right people in your life. He's going to send you helpers. He's going to send you good friends. He's going to put you in an environment around the right persons. But here's what you got to do. You have to attract that into your life. You have to become the person. How about this? Have you ever seen somebody, they're nice look, they got a nice look about them, beautiful. But every time you see them, they're like, screw face, angry, unapproachable. And some of you have trained yourself to say, I'm not a people's person. I have a screw face. No, you don't have a screw face. It's trauma that's on your face. People can see the trauma on your face. They can see the anger that's still on the inside of you. And that is a repellent to anybody who wants positivity. It's a repellent to anybody that wants to be around good persons. And so we've got to make sure that we're not allowing past trauma to have an impact on our self-confidence. The second one now is healing and self-care. You first recognize, okay, there's some stuff I need to work on. But here's the step that most people miss out on: getting the help. Most people say, well, this is how I've always been. This is how I'm going to be. People have to accept me for the way I am, or that's their business. You know, I used to have a friend, she was so rude. She was a rude person, and everybody around her just kept making excuses. That's just how she is, but she's rude. And I tolerated it for so many years until one day I said, actually, enough is enough. I don't want to be around this person anymore. They make me feel bad. They make me feel bad. It's embarrassing. And the worst part of it is she had no idea that she needed to do some work. If you're somebody that's constantly having the same feedback from people, sometimes it's not them, it's us. I had to reflect, am I somebody that's always smiling? Am I warm when people connect with me? Am I too sharp sometimes? Do I give a welcoming aura? Do I bring an energy around me that's fun? Do people really want to be around me? Because there's parts of us that we don't want to be honest about that needs rebuilding. Sometimes it's our character. Sometimes it's our personality. Sometimes it's our judgment. Sometimes I see some people that's serious all the time. I'm like, lighten up, no. Life ain't so bad. Lighten up a little bit. I want to tell a joke. Knock. Who's there? You'll smile one day. Like, when you recognize that there's an issue, one of the most important things is not only getting strategies to heal. Also, yes, you've got to give yourself self-compassion. We can't beat ourselves up about it. But very important, we've got to get healing and self-care. We have to practice loving ourselves. We've got to practice saying to ourselves, I deserve good people around me. I deserve to be happy and joyful. One of the things I had to say to my mum one time, she called me and I'd left the house and I was, as usual, Nikki is driving, so she leaves the umbrella, and I popped out to the shop and she happened to video call me. and she saw I didn't have an umbrella and it started to rain and she started to shout, "Oh, it's raining. Why haven't you got an umbrella? You're going to get a cold." I'm like, "Mom, it's not that deep." Have you ever met people that are just angry for angry's sake? Like that nobody's died. I'm literally popping out of my car and she was yelling on the top of her voice about me not having an umbrella. And sometimes it is like that. Sometimes we don't realize that little things trigger us and they're not that deep. Are you someone that overreacts over bare minimum stuff? Are you somebody that needs to really say, okay, how can I heal from this? Because I'm like, Mom, it's not that deep. You're yelling on the top of your voice for an umbrella. It is not that deep. And I realized when I looked into myself, I have those moments with other things that are not that deep. And my husband will go, "Baby, it's not that deep." I'm like, "No, but the scissors need to go back in the place where the scissors are because I'm tired of looking for scissors and they're not there." Anybody ever done? But it's not that deep. Why are you triggered that things are not in the right places? It's not that deep. Yes, we want to be tidy. Yes, we want to have, nice things, but it's not that deep. What is it that's triggering you behind? And how can you implement self-care practices? How can you nurture mental well-being? How can you make sure that you're emotionally stable? You see, emotional intelligence is something that we don't talk about too often. We work on the academics, we work on skill sets, but very rarely do we work on emotional intelligence. You see, emotional intelligence, someone would be ready for this. You see, knowledge is great, right? Knowledge is great. But emotional intelligence is knowing when to use that knowledge or not. We can all have knowledge, but not every time that knowledge needs to be used. Not every time. Have you ever seen somebody say something and then, something happens and they're like, "You see, if you did listen to me, it wouldn't happen." Well, bruv, why are we talking about it now? Because it's done happened already. Right? Emotional intelligence isn't just knowing, it's knowing when to use that information. It's knowing when to open your mouth and when not to open your mouth. Now, healing and self-care is important. Healing, I was speaking to those of you know Michelle Williams, ex-Destiny's Child member. And she was telling me about the pressures of course, being in Destiny's Child, being a part of a group when she came in later. And we were literally talking about how, the media and all of that was getting real strong to her. And she recognized her mental health was suffering. And she checked in to a mental health clinic to get the support and the help. How many of us actually are honest to say, "Do you know what? I need support. I actually need to work through some stuff. I actually need to put some stuff to bed. And I'm going to get the help. I'm going to, come on these mindset calls. I'm going to speak to a doctor. I'm going to get a therapist." Listen, 90% of people need therapists. I'm just being honest. I deal with a lot of people every single day, and a lot of people, and it's not a bad thing to have a therapist. It really isn't, right? But a lot of us do not practice healing enough. We do not really look inwards and say, okay, what is the reason for why I'm in a situation that I'm in? Every single situation that we're currently in now is based on past choices. It's based on the choices that we made in a previous season. Your bank account now is the byproduct of previous season decisions. Where you live right now is a byproduct of previous choices. The job that you have right now is a byproduct of previous choices. So what do I need to do to change my life, to grow, to gain confidence in executing where I need to go? I have to make sure I'm healed. I have to make sure I'm whole. I have to make sure that I've got a perspective that allows me to make good choices. And that is going to take healing and also self-care. I've got to explore some of my belief systems. Where does these paradigms come from? Where do these philosophies come from? Am I happy with this? Or is it just I've been doing it because grandma used to do it and great grandma used to do it? Emotional healing. Where was the pain? Is it what they did to me? Is it what they said when I was in primary school? Is it the first heartbreak? Was it abuse? Where was that pain that I've pushed away, that I've never spoken about, that nobody really knows about, that's holding me down? It's tense in my body and I need to let it out. You see, a lot of the times we have physical pain, but it comes from the spiritual pain that we have. And see, sometimes what we do is we think it's brave to keep things in, because that's another philosophy that we were taught by our parents. No, go outside and talk my business. Don't tell anybody the business, especially the people at school. When you go to school, keep your mouth shut. Don't tell them the business. So we've been trained for a long time that opening our mouth and speaking is a bad thing. We've been trained as a philosophy of our basic understanding of life that speaking our business is wrong. But let me help you change that paradigm. Speaking to the wrong people is wrong. But the best time that you're going to have in your life is when you free all of that energy. Stop building up resilience in you to let go, and build that confidence and that courage to let that stuff out. Whatever it is, it's better to come out than stay in, because that is what tears us down and holds us back in our confidence. The next one after healing and self-care. So once you start to heal, once you let this bad boy out and you trust, got to take care of your mindset. You got to start saying to yourself that there's certain things I'm not going to have around me, but there's certain things I deserve. And you see, when it starts with inside, it then comes on the outside. That you then start to say, I deserve to be consistent. I deserve to have the best people around me. So when you start to think, should I go to that event? And then you say, no, I deserve to be in that room. Your perspective starts to change. Should I wear this old tracksuit bottom? No, I deserve to look my best. Should I just stay home and watch TV? Well, no, I deserve to be at that function. You see, when you start to have that confidence and you start to give self-care, you make room to improve yourself. You see, I can always tell when people don't have confidence in themselves, confidence in their goal, because they fail to want to improve themselves and they want to keep into a pity party. The next one is building self-awareness. Oh, mercy. You know, in business, they have something called SWOT. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Strengths, weaknesses, yeah? And one of the things I think is very, very important is self-analysis, self-reflection. To be able to say, okay, this is where I am now. What has gone well since the last 12 months? So many times we can sit down and tell ourselves there's nothing gone well. But I promise you, and this is going to be your homework for the week, you know, I like to give homework, is for you to list all the things that have gone well in the last 12 months for you. I tell you this, if you look back and you see all the greatness and the goodness that God has done for you, it puts it in a whole different perspective. I can tell you now, 12 months ago, even for myself, things look a whole lot different. God has been so great. Number one, we are alive. Number two, we have shelter. Number three, we have food. Number four, I have my children. Today is my son's birthday. He turned 14 years old. 14 years ago. I wasn't a mum 14 years ago. But he made me a mother 14 years ago. There's so many things that we can be grateful for, that we can say, I'm proud of me. In fact, I want you to write that down on your paper, write that down in the chat box. I am proud of me. I'm proud of me. I fought my way through. I pushed my way through. You got to look at it, and we have something called More, Better, Different, Less. Those are my mentees. They have a self-evaluation form. And in the more box, we're going to put down more of the things that we've done well so that we can keep doing them. I'm proud of me. I know it may look bleak. I know sometimes it's not where we want to be, but I'm proud of me. You know why? Because I stepped out. I'm proud of me. I've been consistent online. I'm proud of me that I stepped into my calling. I'm proud of me that I joined a community that invests in myself. I'm proud of me that I've started to heal. I'm proud of me. Listen, you got to find reasons to tell yourself that you are proud of you. That's in the more box. And then we have in the better box is what can I do different? What do I need to improve on? Right? What can I be better at? Right? Something that I need, an area of growth. Maybe I need to invest in myself more. Maybe I need to speak positively about myself. Too many times people just trash themselves down, talking negatively. Too many times I keep undervaluing myself. I need to respect myself more. I need to respect my body more. I need to make sure I'm watching what I speak. I need to make sure I stand out more. I need to make sure I put my hand up more. I need to make sure I walk into that office and command my territory more. I need to stop pretending like I don't know the answers and acting shy when I do know the answers. What is it that you need to do better? You know it works, but you're hiding away. You're not doing it enough. This is what we call untapped potential. And I see it every single day. And I tell you this, we have a lot of people not living in their potential because they just don't build self-awareness. You're not identifying your strengths. I had this beautiful, beautiful sister of mine, Dania. And we had inside our VIP community, we had a challenge. And part of the challenge was to think of something that you could sell to be able to, put it out there to begin to earn an income. And Dania said, I don't know what I can sell. I don't think I have anything I can sell. That's because sometimes we're so used to seeing ourselves, we've become familiar with ourselves, that we don't even recognize sometimes some of the gifts that we have on us that we take for granted. Instantly, I said to Dania, this is what you need to do. This is what you can sell. She said, oh yeah, that makes sense. Are you good at identifying your strengths? Are you good at identifying what you're good at? Or are you good at identifying your weaknesses? You're so good at saying all the things you can't do, all the things you don't do well, all the things you're struggling with. But can you identify your strengths? Be so self-aware of these strengths that you can utilize them to then bring forth the blessings to others and also unlock an income for yourself. You see, one of the reasons why a lot of people are financially stretched is because they're not living in their gift. If you really knew what your gift was, you wouldn't have a financial problem. If you really understood the power of who you are on the inside, and some of you will hear this and will not understand what I mean. You're hearing it, but you're not hearing it. When you begin to unlock your gift will make room for you. When you begin to understand your gift, the money will come. I will give you a clear-cut example right now. Today, I have been requested by 4 persons today, before 9 o'clock. 2 podcasts, 2 events. Total payment, over £25,000. You know how I got those bookings? Wasn't adverts, wasn't cold calling. You know what I did? I sat in my bed, in my headscarf, and shared my story. And someone said, I need you to speak at my event. I opened my mouth and I began to share my experience, my story, and it attracted the persons to me to offer me these four, not one, not two, not three, 4 opportunities. Am I saying this to boast? No, I'm telling you that this is how you rebuild. Open your mouth. Some of you are so unself-aware that you're sitting there crying, God, make a way, when God has already made the way. You have to make the way. You've got to open your mouth. You've got to make a decision that it's your time. Someone say it's my time. You've got to make a decision. You've got to say, listen, Nikki, you're right. I'm sitting on this gift. I'm playing around with what God told me to do. Now, maybe you don't have the strategy. Maybe you haven't got the full layout, but you got to do something. You got to start. Because I tell you, when you unlock it, the money will come. I want you to type 7 in the chat right now if you want more money. Like if you're in a place where things are just not the best, you want more money coming into your account. You're like, listen, I need more money, Nikki. Like I'm unapologetically, I'm not afraid to say, but right now, things are tight. Right now, things could be better. I need more money. Well, those of you that need more money, I'm telling you the reason why you need more is because you're not fully living in it. You're not fully living in it. You're not. You're not fully living in it. There's fear there. You're hiding behind something. God has given you an instruction. You're playing with it. You dip your foot in the water a little bit, then you're inconsistent again. Then you're dipping it in again. And you know why? The next one. Self-esteem. You see, the only way to have self-esteem is through self-acceptance. You see, I used to say my nose is big, I'm dark-skinned, because when we were growing up, the light-skinned girls were the pretty ones. I'm dark-skinned, my nose are big. Oh, I'm not going to be good enough. Not realizing that a lack of self-esteem is unattractive. Nobody will book you to speak at their event. No one's going to book you for a workshop. No one's going to buy your product if you have low self-esteem. It is an ugly trait for people that want to buy. I'm sorry to say, but low self-esteem people are generally broke. Low self-esteem people generally have low self-esteem people around them. Low self-esteem people generally don't live out the purpose in their life because they don't accept who they are. And so what happens is when you don't accept who you are, you then accept people into your life that are attracted to the fake you, that are attracted to the pretender you. And so you can never live in your full potential or purpose if you are pretending to be something that you are not, because you haven't accepted who you are. Let me tell you this, I'm a dark-skinned, big nose, loud gal, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. I have 3 children by 2 baby fathers, and guess what? My story is who I am. I'm proud of it. I had one husband before, and I've got a different husband now. He's going to be the last one, and I'm proud of it. I am proud of my story. My mom has mental health problems. We have issues just like everybody else. I'm proud of it. My family ain't perfect. I'm proud of it. But you know what? I was in 60,000 pounds worth of debt 8-9 years ago, and God allowed me to tell my story, which unlocked a whole different infrastructure, and now I'm helping other people do the same. I don't care what nobody has to say about me. I don't care what the enemy wants to say about me. I used to have addictions. I used to smoke. I used to drink like an alcoholic. I used to do all of this stuff, addicted to masturbation. I don't care. You Google it. You can do what the hell you like with it. But I know what God has put on the inside of me, and I'm confident. I have self-esteem. I'm not cocky. I'm just confident because I know exactly who God has called me to be. Don't you dare sit there hiding in shame, hiding in rejection, hiding behind your story because you feel like the enemy is going to laugh at you. Do you understand that your story is your superpower, huh? The story that you're hiding behind behind, the story that you don't want no one to know, the story that you're pretending never happened, the story that you buried deep down, that's the story that's going to unlock your freedom. That's the story that people are going to connect with you. That's what's going to attract your clientele. That's what's going to attract the people around you. But you're so busy hiding it. You're so busy drowning in self-pity and shame. You're so busy wanting to pretend it didn't happen. You don't even realize that your story is your superpower. You don't even realize that if you only had self-esteem, if you only believed in yourself, accept who you are. I used to be a size 8. I ain't anymore. It is what it is. Listen, the clothes had to go. I ain't gonna fit in them anymore. I believe now. I know God can do everything. He parted the Red Sea, but he ain't doing it for my hips. I've come to the acceptance that this is who I am. I like it or lump it. I don't business who don't like it. You ain't going to change me when it comes to certain things. And I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of my story. And some of us need to get to a place where we understand that the very thing we're praying for is assigned to the thing we want to hide. Oh my God, I said this mindset call ain't going to be too long. We got to overcome limiting self-beliefs, yo. Limiting self-beliefs. In order to really have the confidence, the currency, we got to really break free. Listen, I'm seeing some things right now in this world that makes me sick. Women going and enhancing, putting silicone in their bottom. You're seeing people doing some madness, BBLs. You're seeing people have full identity crisis. They're telling children at 5 that they can decide if they're girls or boys. We're seeing things in this world where people are not happy with being themselves, that they are changing themselves because of what they think society needs. It started with all these breast implants, people pumping up their lips, people changing their complexion, bleaching their skin. Like, mighty God, can we not just love who we are? Can we not just say, listen, this is how God made me. These are the things I've gone through. These are the mistakes I've made, but I've learned from them and I can teach other people never to make the same mistakes I made. Can we not just have a little bit of self-love? Because I tell you this, the confidence that you have in yourself is going to unlock a whole new realm for you. You want to make more money? You got to be confident. You want to make more money? You need to be self-aware. You want to make more money? You got to believe in yourself. Stop seeking other people's opinions, other people's advice, other people's yes. And if they are not happy with you, all of a sudden you're down. If they are disapproving of you, all of a sudden you're upset. You're laying all your heart on somebody else's acceptance. Not again. Not again. No, not again. I know who I am. I know who I'm called to serve. I understand my gift. And I have to be confident in that. Because if I'm not confident in it, nobody else will. Number 7 and the final one. Oh no, number 6. I don't even know which number we're on. Number 1, identifying trauma. Number 2, healing and self-care. Number 3, building self-awareness. Number 4, developing self-esteem. Number 5, building confidence. Number 6, in order to really be confident, and I think probably this is one of the ones I hear the most from most people. Number 6 is discover your purpose. You can never truly become confident in who you are if you don't know who you are. What have you been put on this earth to do? Why are you here? What's your passion? Do you have a plan? sometimes we know we do some things well. And I don't know if you're like me, where I used to be like, Lord, I know I like helping people. I know I'm good at giving advice. I know I can serve people. People come to me all the time. I can help them. But why am I here? Like, what's the big plan for my life? I used to be like, what's the big plan for my life? I joke about this all the time, but it's so true. I used to say, Lord, I've got a gift of this and I can't see how it's going to pay me. So how about we do an exchange? You take away the gift of speaking and let me be able to do hair, because I can see how I can make money from doing hair. And I remember one day I was praying and God was like, you're a real idiot. You're not no sense. You're a fool. You don't know what I've put in you. You're actually burying your talent because you don't understand it. You're burying the gift because you don't understand it. You're hiding from it. In fact, you're ashamed of it. I used to be the kid in class that every time the teacher asked a question, I'm the one talking. They said, you talk too much. Not knowing that talking too much would pay me 7 figures. Not knowing that talking too much would allow me to help thousands of people around the world. Not knowing that talking too much will have me connecting with women, sharing me their stories every single day. Not knowing that talking too much will unlock so many different doors for many people. Generations to come are blessed because of that talking too much, which I attempted to hide because I kept saying, let me give somebody else a chance because I keep talking too much and I don't want to stand out too much. Rubbish. And it came into my adulthood where I shied away sometimes and I knew the answers and I kept pretending I didn't because I didn't want to be a Mrs. Know-it-all and be there. And the teachers didn't know how to handle me. Nikki, give somebody else a chance, they would say. Let somebody else answer. They didn't know how to handle me. And so they made me insecure about the gift. Until suddenly one day, someone say one day, number 7, this is the key to the lock. Community. In order for your confidence to turn into currency, you have to be around the right community. You got to be around the right voices, the right person speaking into your ear. Because anyhow you have the wrong people speaking into your ear, that gift will lay dormant. It will die. It will die. And listen, the gift is not to die. Who are you listening to right now? Who are you listening to that has the results that you desire? Who are you listening to that has the marriage you desire, the business you desire, the wealth you desire? Who is it that you're listening to that has the time freedom that you desire? Or are you listening to your mates who are in the same situation as you? Your parents that have the same paradigms from 1970, how long? Now, I'm not saying some of our parents and grandparents don't have wisdom. Don't get me wrong. I speak to my grandma almost every day. And meeting that woman, listen, so much wisdom. But can my grandma tell me how to run a multi-million-pound business? No, she can't. I can't get that from her. I can't get certain things from her because she's not in that position. And so it's very important that you surround yourself by community, by individuals that are going to be able to unlock that gift out of you so you can be confident. So even if you have a day where you're like, not too sure, they can say, listen, girl, stand up for yourself. You got this. Right? Just day before yesterday, my husband launched another food establishment that he was going to put off till next year. I was like, next year what? Next week. We turned that bad boy around in 1 week. He said next year. I said next year. You can't tell me something when we say next year, baby boo. Next week. Next week. Yesterday was the next week. He launched, sold out, did what he had to do. Vice versa. I had something that I wanted to launch. I was like, yeah, next year. Launched it a couple of weeks ago. Sold out, finished. You need to have people around you that can tell you, put off what? Oh, I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it. No, do it today. Oh, it's late. We make it, oh, it's late. It's after 10. I'll do it tomorrow. No, do it tonight while it's hot. Do it today. Tell me about next year. You can't tell me. Listen, none of my friends, I don't have people around me that are going to be talking lack and delay. No, 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 no. We're doing it now. What can we do now? What can we do now? And here's a bonus for you. And I was talking to one of my sisters and we talked deep about this. Here's a bonus. You see, 2020, we had a very, very big income drop, right? It was a rough time for us, rough. When you're used to living a certain lifestyle, I'm not going to tell you the number because y'all are going to say, Nikki, that's not rough. But for us, it was rough, right? It was a rough time and income went down. And at that point in our lives, I made a radical decision and I invested over 50K into my personal development. That was events, communities, workshops. Because I said, if I'm not in a position where I am, I've got to sow and go. And someone's going to catch that tomorrow. I've got to sow and go. And I remember having this conversation with my husband. And Anton was like, listen. And I think I went during the pandemic, after the pandemic, 2020. What are we in now? 2024. It might have been about 2021. It was about 2021. Whenever we left that company, it was about 2021. And I remember Anton looking at me like, there's a lot of money going out, Nick. Where's the money that's coming in on the back of all of this sowing? Right? Anton looking at the statements. He looking at bank account. I don't know if there's any men on the call. You know how you think. But the ladies, you know that we want to go, we're going. And I'm there and I'm like, Anton, trust and believe, bro. Like, baby, it's all going to be worth it. And I remember I called him one time and I was like, baby, there's another trip. And I almost got scared to ask because those of you know, I'd be jumping on a plane like it's a taxi. And, you know, Anton turned to me and he said, babe, I believe in you and I trust you. And I said, baby, I know things are tight, but I just so believe in me. I so believe in me, baby. Trust me, it's going to pay off. And he said, babe, I believe in you. And the men on the call, there's nothing more soothing and brings confidence to a woman who knows her man has her back. To know her man believes in her to say temporary sacrifice for long-term gain. And it was a tough season. And I tell you, those places that I sewed into, those trips, those events, those workshops, if it wasn't for those, there was one in particular, which was a retreat in Dubai. And I learned so much. I learned so much that I would even put a lot of what I do now on the back of that retreat. I will never, ever forget that retreat. But here's how God works. Now I'm running my own retreats. Now I'm serving and pouring others. Because in order to really get that expansion, and I don't want to teach you guys this because I don't want you to think I'm saying something I'm not, but I'm just saying in order to reap a harvest, you got to sow a seed. You have to put seeds in the ground. You've got to sow. You have to sow. It's a principle. It's a philosophy. It is something that cannot be returned. Just like gravity, you throw it up in the air, it comes back down. When you sow into your life, it is inevitable that there is a harvest. I want to encourage you right now in this month of action overflow, that there's an action that you need to take. I don't care whether it is starting that business. I don't care whether it is writing that book. I don't care whether it is joining a community, going on a workshop, booking onto a retreat. I don't care what it is, but I believe that you know that God has been calling you to do something. And here's what I'm going to say. Radical. Don't allow a lack of resource to stop you from getting what you need. Don't allow a lack of you're looking at your current situation, and I get it. But if you don't change something in this current situation, it will always be your current situation. And I was willing to risk that because I didn't want to stay in my current situation. You've got to sow and go. Where does he want you to go? Physically and spiritually. What does he want you to do? Who does he want you to serve? There's somebody listening to this right now who this message is for. It's not for everybody. But I know that God is calling you for a bigger territory than where you are. But it comes on the back of your obedience. And I want to urge you, I asked him to talk through me today, to be obedient to what he tells you to do. Don't fight it. Don't hold it back. And just be who he's told you to be. No fear, no shame, no embarrassment. And walk in it confidently and unapologetically. My prayer is for you today as we close out this call, that you can understand any trauma that you've been through. You can recognize the impact on your self-confidence and you can break it. Set up some coping strategies and have self-compassion. Forgive yourself, forgive others. Begin to heal and really take care of self-care. Self-care is investing in yourself. Self-care is loving yourself, speaking kindly to yourself. Practice and nurture mental self-care. Look after your mental well-being. Join these calls on a Monday. Look for your emotional well-being as well. Look after building that resilience and not letting everything tear you down and being on edge all the time and ready to blow up over every little thing. But build self-awareness and self-reflection. Self-acceptance, accept who you are. Build that self-esteem. Build self-confidence and really practice really good communication, not just with yourself, but also with others. Let your no be no. Not everything you have to say yes to. Be assertive where you need to be assertive. And be compassionate where you need to be compassionate. And discover your purpose. I want to help you to discover your purpose. I want to be the person that says, hey, look, let's dig deeper into it. I'm very, very good at it. Extremely good at it. And I created a community called the Rebuild Community. This is women only who want to really work on, physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being, but also as well be surrounded by a bunch of women that are also rebuilding. And if you are interested in being a part of that, go ahead over to therebuild.co.uk/shop. All the information is there. But I also have something for the men, those men that are in a position where they're like, Nikki, I can't join the Rebuild, but I do have a confidence course. And that confidence course is available to everyone. And that is one-on-one for 8 weeks. 8 weeks with me, one-on-one, where we work on your confidence, work on launching a business, launching, you know, being the best for your family, and really giving yourself a best shot at life. But lastly, guys, have a community of people around you. Make sure you're surrounded by the people that can really pour into you and help you on your journey of discovering your confidence. And each level that you go to, you'll need a new level of confidence. It's always something that we're working on. And so I'm super excited for you. I'm looking forward to seeing your top takeaways and your notes. All right.